Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we are making a chandelier. What we're going to do is let's go to the render properties to begin with, switch out your Eevee to cycles as per usual, and we're going to go ahead and start with a circle to begin this project. So let's go ahead and delete the default cube to begin with, and we're going to go ahead and add let's go with circle. We want to press S for scale just to bring it out just a little bit. And then we're going to go G just to bring this up. So we're going to have a little chandelier just here. So I'm just going to go with G, bring it up a little bit. Just use the axes to get that up there so it's nice and straight for the middle. Let's go ahead and add a mesh, a cube. And I'm going to go ahead and just press S for scale. And we're going to scale this along the Z axis. And then we'll go with S for scale again, just make this thin around the edge. And I'm just going to press G to bring this up so we're in alignment with the circle right here. And all we're going to do is we're going to go with S for scale this down. G, bring this up. And you want to go on side view, which is 1. And this will be your circle right here, if you can see this little dark line right here. We're going to go with G. Bring this across, use the axes again, and then go G again and bring this up. So the circle essentially is just our guideline at the moment, and then we will add a little bit of a gold kind of trim around the edge. So we're going to go ahead with this piece right here. So let's go with material. We'll click new, change out principal BSDF to glass BSDF, and we're going to turn down the roughness. So now this will be glass. When we do render it. At the moment the lighting's kind of off. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this light actually. So let's go back to regular render. And I'm just going to go ahead and split the atom real quick. Let's go for side view on 1. And then we can just have kind of like a free view on this one. So we're going to want to put this onto the opposite side as well. So I'm going to go 7 to heaven. Let's go ahead and Shift D. Just go ahead and move this out. Try and get them equidistant as is. So you'll see with mine, where we've got the curve of the circle right here, we just have the cube just on the edge of one of these points right here. So that should match onto the opposite side. And as you'll see, mine is not matching. So let's go with G. Move this up just so that it sits and fits. And what I'm going to do with these two is let's go ahead and hold down Shift, click them both. We'll go Shift D, click, leave it where it is. R for rotate, it should automatically rotate around the Z. And we're going to go with 90. So with this as well, let's go and click the other 4. So this is a point where I need to get my calculator out just to make sure that I have this in the right place, because sometimes I get the numbers just slightly off. So we're going to go with a calculator on your phone if you want to. So we're going to go 90 and we're going to divide this by 2, which is a 45, which is, I'm fine with that bit. So let's go with Shift D for all of these. We're going to go R for rotate. We're going to press 45. Go ahead and click all of these again. Just the cubes. Make sure the circle's not selected. Let's go Shift D again. Click. And then we're going to go ahead and divide that 45 by 2. Oops. Just backtrack with that. 45 divided by 2. And that is 22.5. So let's go Shift D. I think we already duplicated those, but it's fine. Let's go alpha rotates. And we'll go 22.5. for that rotation. So now we have all of these going around in a circle. So I'm just going to go ahead with the render and just see how this looks. I think. Uh-oh. I think we got a double bubble there. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and just click on these just to make sure that they're not double bubbles. Yeah, that one's not a double bubble. I think I already duplicated a few of them before I moved it, so yeah, let's get rid of that one. That one should be fine. I mean, I guess you'll see it in the light difference, to be honest with you. Just go around, make sure you've not doubled up. You've not deblayed anywhere. Alright, so, once you're happy with your design, we can have a look at this on here. You can see that this one is doubled up and this one's doubled up. So, let's go ahead and click delete on that one and click delete on that one. So now we've all got singular all the way around. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and we'll take this circle actually. We'll go for edit mode, E for extrude, bring this down, just as such. So if I go on the wireframe right here, you can see it's just been brought down. We're going to go A to select everything and E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, and then S to scale to bring it outwards. So this is going to be a nice little loop that we're going to have around the edge. Let's go to object mode and just place it in that one. Right click shade smooth. So this is essentially just holding the glass at the top as is. So you can have a little bit of a ridge in the middle if you want to, but totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead, let's go to X-ray mode real quick. Box select absolutely everything. Shift D, bring this down, and all you're going to do is S for scale. And you can bring this down as far, or you can have it pretty far up if you want to. S for scale, let's go Shift D again. Bring this down, and then S for scale, bring this down into the middle right there. And all I'm going to do with this now, we've got this, is add some little gold trims to this. So we can do new material, let's call this gold. We'll do this slight orangey yellow. Let's go metallic. Roughness down. I'm going to go ahead and add a mesh and a plane at the bottom right here, so S for scale. And there's no light in this piece at the moment, primarily because we've not added the light source yet. So let's go ahead and make this next loop that we have right here in the middle. Go to your drop down, go for gold, so it's nice and uniform in tone and material. And then we'll go ahead and do drop down gold as well. So the next thing that we need to do is add some lighting and add some little struts in the middle and stuff like that. So the idea that we could do this, let's go with a cylinder. Just going to go onto this render points at the moment. Let's go for this one so we can see what's going on. Let's go S for scale, bring this down, and you just essentially want to make a little tube. We're going to go alpha rotate, and we'll go 90. G to bring this up. And what all you want to do is just get this in between the ring right here. So let's go S for scale, bring this down just ever so slightly, and then I'm going to go S for scale and bring this across. And you want to make sure this sits and fits on the ring right here. So the side view that we have right here, we can go with X-ray. Let's go G, bring this up, so that should sit right in the middle of our piece right there. I'm just going to go ahead with 7 to heaven real quick, because we're clipping the outside right here. So let's go S for scale, bring this down, just as such. So you want to do this to the rest of them as well. So let's go with Shift D. We'll bring this up to the next run. And then you want to go S for scale, bring this across to the middle run. And then we want to go with Shift D, duplicate this again. Just click, we'll go G, bring this up to the top run. And then we're going to go with S for scale and bring this across onto the top run. So now you've got something like this, where it's every single tier has a little bar coming through it. The next bit that we're going to do, let's go ahead and change that to gold actually. Every single bar to gold with that drop down. So we'll take this bar at the top right here, and we'll go with Shift D, bring this up, alpha rotate, we'll go 90, S for scale, bring it out just a little bit, and you want to go ahead and make sure that this bar comes all the way down to the bottom right here. So let's go G, bring this down, and we'll place that just as is. So you should have something like this once you're all said and done. if you guys can see that. And let's go ahead and add some light. So let's go add. I'm going to go ahead with an icosphere. Little icospheres going all the way up. Let's go S for scale. Make sure that it's on the bar. Just here. Let's go with new. Switch out your principal BSDF on your materials tab to emission. And we're going to make it slightly yellow. So once we've got this, we can go ahead and we can press G, bring this down, put this into the middle or just underneath the support right there. And then we're going to go ahead and Shift D, bring this down to the next support, and Shift D, bring this down to the next support. As such. So when all is said and done, this should be your project. You've got the little lighting in the middle right there. You can go ahead and increase the strength of that emission, and we get this beautiful nice pattern at the bottom right there. I'm going to go ahead and add a ceiling actually, so let's go Shift D. Just bring that base, that little plane up that you had before. I'm just going to bring the camera down a little bit so you can see. And of course it's really fuzzy because lighting is generally the last thing that comes in Blender. So yeah, you've got this nice little glass texture going on. What you could do with the glass as well, if we click one of the panels, because when we change anything to do with this singular panel, because the rest of the panels have the exact same material, what you'll find is that they'll change too. So we can change the colour of this if you'd like. You could have it a nice little blue chandelier. You could have it as a red chandelier if you wanted to, yellow, green, purple, kind of blue kind of thing. To be honest with you, I like the turquoise. I think it really pops with the turquoise. Yeah, so that's the tutorial for today. I will see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe. Okay, welcome guys to the next installment of Blender. So today we are going to be making a decanter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the default cube, and we'll go ahead and change the render engine from Eevee to Cycles. And we're going to go ahead and add a circle. So what I'm going to do to begin with is we'll go into the edit section, and then we'll press F for fill. Sorry, just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we've got our circle selected. We're going to go up here to objects mode and switch that out for edit mode. And we're going to go F for fill. And what we're going to do is I'm going to bevel in the bottom afterwards, but first of all we'll make the decanter itself. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, and then S to scale, just bring this out slightly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for side view right here, 1 for side view if you need it, and I'm just going to show you how I'm making the base of this. So you're going to want quite a large base for the bottom, and we're going to go for E for extrude, bring it up, make sure that you are using the scroll wheel to stay on the Z axis, and we'll go ahead and just scale this outwards as such. And all you want to do is just make a slight bulb at the bottom. And then we're going to go S for scale and start to bring it in. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. I'm just going to go S for scale and bring this up, and then S for scale and bring it in. So we've got something like this. Make sure that this is all even, so you're not going to the side and stuff like that. Because sometimes when I started out with Blender, I go like this. We don't want this. We want to be able to stay central like that. So once we've got this part right here, let's go E for extrude again, and we're going to go S for scale, bring this in. It's going to be quite a narrow kind of bulb, so let's go E for extrude, I'll bring this up, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just very gently just curve that back around. Kind of reminds me of a flask actually. But we're going to go from about here, nice little kind of neck there, and then we'll go E for extrude, bring this up just ever so slightly. So you just ever so slightly up just there. We'll go S for scale. This is going to be a little bit of a bevel so that we've got a lip to the glass. We're going to go E for extrude again. S for scale outwards, E for extrude, E for extrude again, and now we're going to start to go inwards. So, at this point, we're currently at the top of the glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, and then S for scale, bring it in. And what you're going to notice when we go back down is if I press E for extrude, for example, we've gone back down, but we can't see the inside of the decanter. So if I just go backtrack, that would just backtrack that for 1 second. Let's scroll across the top here, and we've got something that's called toggle X-ray. So we're going to click toggle X-ray there, and if I press E for extrude, you can now see that I can see the inside. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude, just pull that down just slightly, S for scale, to give it that nice little bevel, and because this is glass, what we want to do is we want to be a little bit thicker on the top, a little bit thinner in the middle, and then we want to kind of bulge out just at the bottom. So, I'm going to go ahead and have maybe that much away from the edge. Let's go for E for extrude, we'll bring this down. I'm going to go S for scale, just to bring it in just a little bit more. And then I'm going to go E for extrude again and just bring it all the way down to the base of the neck right here. So if you've gone midway like I have, just press G and you'll be able to move it back down again. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale outwards just a little bit. So you've got that variation in the glass. Let's just leave this right here so you guys can see what's going on the inside from the top. Okay, so once we've got this right here, let's go E for extrude, bring this down again. S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, and then as I said at the prior part, we're going to make this a little bit thicker at the bottom. So let's go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale, E for extrude again, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just round that off just in the middle, just there. So just like that. Don't worry about the bottom if you're a little bit too close, we can amend that. So now we have this. So now I kind of wanted to make the bottom part quite fancy, and I wanted to indent it as well. So we're going to go to the base right here. Just select his face if you've got your faces selected, because at the top right here you have vertex, you've got edge, and then you've got face. Make sure face is selected. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude. I'm just going to bring this down, and then we'll go E for extrude again, S for scale, and then E for extrude, S for scale, and then E for extrude again, and then we'll go S for scale, just to bring that back in a little bit. And then E for extrude again, bring down, S for scale. Now at this point you want to go inwards, so we're going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, S for scale, give it that nice little base, and we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, S for scale, bring this in, E for extrude, S for scale, bring this in. And what you want to make sure that you do, let's just bring this across, so you have the base on the inside of the glass right here. You don't want your under base, so to speak, this one that we've just indented, to connect to this one. So if in doubt, bring it back a little bit. Just like that, because you want that nice little thick glass look. So once you've got something like this, let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to objects mode real quick. Just pull this to the side, and then I'm going to pull this to the side. So you guys can see the side view right there. And then we've got this view right here. So I'm going to go shade smooth. Right click shade smooth. Let's go with G. Bring this above the lines that you've got right here. And we're going to go ahead and put with mesh and plane. S for scale, bring this out. And so we're going to click the little cylinder that we've just made right here. We're going to go with material, add. And we're going to go with Principal BSDF, switch it out for Glass BSDF, and turn down the roughness. Now, when you go to your render, you should have a nice little glass piece right here. Now, you can frost this if you want to by moving up the roughness, or you can make this completely clear as is. So, the next thing that you can do is to make a stopper in the top. And I mean, they're really simple to make. Let's go ahead and just take this off the render mode for the moment. And all I'm going to do, let's go to add. We'll go cylinder. S for scale, bring this down. Essentially, what you want to do is make it sit and fit. So, let's go S for scale, bring this down a little bit. Let's get rid of that transform so you guys can see. I'm going to go right click shade smooth, S for scale. Make sure that it fits on the inside of the bottle right there. I'll go to object mode, edit. And what we can do, let's hit the top right here. Let's go G, bring this down. And essentially what we want to do is make a nice little pattern on the top right here. So I'm going to go E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude. I'm going to go S for scale, E for extrude. Just make a little point here. Just for fancy reasons. Something like that. And then we'll go E for extrude again and then pull this to a point. Just to about here. Because what we're going to do now is let's go back to object mode. Right click shade smooth if you haven't already. And I'm going to go ahead and add a you can go with an icosphere or you can go with a UV sphere for this. It's totally up to you what kind of look you want. Let's go with G, bring this up to the top. Now obviously this is way too big for the bottle, it's going to topple over, so let's go S for scale and I'm going to go with G, bring this down. You want to make sure it sits and fits just there, just at the top. Now, you can go ahead and you can shade this smooth so you can have this nice little smooth look to it, or you can keep it the way that it is to make it look a little bit more fancy. Totally up to you. So if we go back to the render at the moment, we can see that we've got the stopper in the top right here. We've got the glass at the bottom. Now, this glass is a material. So if we name this, if we click for glass even, and we name this and we say glass, obvious name, and then we click the sphere that we have at the top right here. If we go down to the drop down in the materials tab, you have material and you have glass. Now, the material that we have is material, which is the white one that we have here. We want to change it to glass, so we're going to click glass, and this will be the exact same material that we have at the bottom right here. So we're going to want to do this with the bottom of the stopper as well, so that this is nice and uniform. So we're going to go materials and then change this to glass from the drop down. So now we have this nice little decanter, depending on whether you want a whiskey or a wine decanter, something like that. It looks quite scientific. To be honest with you, it does look like, I think they call them conical flasks. It just reminds me of that. If you want to put liquid in this, you can go ahead and select the inside. Alternatively, let's go to side view again. Just going to turn that off. Right, okay, so let's go to add mesh, and we want to go ahead and add in, let's see, circle would do this best. So we can see that we have this line right here, which is the side view of our circle. It doesn't currently have a 3D view because we've not made it 3D yet. So let's go ahead and press G. We'll bring this up to the base of our container. Let's go with S. We'll scale this down. Press G to bring this up. And what I'm going to do, let's go to edit mode. Press F for fill. E for extrude. Bring this up, use the axes. S for scale. And all you're going to do is just fill in that space as best you can. Just make sure you're not interacting with the glass, you're just on the outside of it, or in this case on the inside. E for extrude, let's bring that up again. S for scale. And then we'll go Ether Extrude, and then, you know, whiskey glasses and decanters and stuff like that, they're generally not full all the way to the top. They do have an air. So we can have something like this. Let's go back to object mode. Right click shade smooth. So now, when we have this little render going on, we have a little bit of liquid inside of it. What we want to do, let's go new. We'll change out the principal BSDF. You could go with anything really. You can go with glass, you can go with glossy, metallic. Metallic would work, but it's a bit iffy. I mean, if you went, oh, not that one. Let's go with metallic real quick, just to show you. So if we went with metallic, you can turn the roughness down, and you can have that nice little shine on there. And then to make this a little bit more kind of whiskey, kind of like, I guess you could just mess around with the settings. But to be honest with you, if you're with glass, let's see what glass looks like. That would be glass. And then you can mess around with the IOR as well to kind of make that liquid look. But if you go with Principal BSDF, you can have that little bit of metallic. I feel that you just have a lot more control. So you can go with metallic, turn down the roughness, and then you can mess with the alpha, which will basically make the liquid a little bit more clearer, so you can see in the background as well. Let's go with base color real quick. Kind of change it to that nice little kind of golden whiskey kind of look, I guess. Yeah, something like that, I guess. I'm not a huge whiskey fan, but I guess that's what you could have in there. Or you could have red for wine if you wanted to, if it's a wine decanter. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with like that, I guess. If you've got something different on your project, go for it. So yeah, I think that would work for the piece. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just amend the background right here, just make that kind of like a grey, maybe metallic. Just turn down that roughness. That's something you can do as well. I quite like doing this. And then what I'm going to do with this background right here, let's go to Shading tab. Click the background. And I'm going to go ahead and add... you can do Voronoi for this, or you can do noise texture. Totally up to you what you want to do. Let's go with noise texture. Colour to roughness. And you'll notice that you get all these little points on here. It's just an idea to make some texture in the background if you're doing anything like photography wise with this piece. So you get something like that with nice little sheen. And you can go ahead and just change the tones on this. What I would suggest lighting wise, let's go with this one for a moment. Let's go add. I'm going to add plane. Let's go G, bring this up. And R for rotate, and S for scale outwards. So you've got this nice little piece right here. And what I'm going to do, let's go new, change principal BSDF to emission. And this will be a light source. So I'm going to get rid of the original light source here. So let's go with delete. I'm going to take this, let's go S for scale, just to bring this in a little bit. If it'll let me. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to press G, bring this across, and when you see this, you should now have this nice little light source at the side. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a 3D look. I'm going to go with S for scale, just bring this across, and then S for scale, just bring this down a little bit. So it's almost like strip lighting. Let's go ahead really quickly and just go Shift D, duplicate that down, Shift D, duplicate that up, just multiple kind of things. It doesn't have to be perfect. So when we've got the cylinder right here and we go to the render tab, we now can see that we have some lighting in the background. We can now increase the strength. And I think that it just works really well in pulling out some of those details as well. So what we can also do is take the background, which is the world settings, change it from grey to black. And what we could do from here is let's go let's go view, line view, camera to view. This little box right here is your camera, so if you press G, we can bring this back. Come on. So let's press G. Just scroll back. Just move the mouse back. And then you could just get this into frame. Hold down center scroll and move that back, sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and just move this lighting back so it's not in the way. Okay, let's press G and bring that back. Okay, so once we've got something like this, we can also click the camera, go to the data settings, which is the camera at the bottom, click depth of field, and then we've got the eyedropper just at the side under focus on object. Click the glass, and all you're going to do is just turn the aperture down, the f-stop in the aperture down, and this will blur the background and will keep everything in focus just here. So if I just enlarge this just slightly, you guys can see what's going on. So it's all fuzzy at the moment. What generally tends to happen is it will figure out what's going on the picture, and then it will do the lighting last. So if the lighting isn't showing up properly, just leave it a few minutes and it should come back. It depends on the machine that you're currently using, because if you've got, say, like I wouldn't say a high-end machine, but if you've got a machine that's like really good at doing calculations, it'll probably calculate everything a lot faster than, say, like a machine that's not used to doing stuff like this. So I think it depends on your processors as well. I'm going to go ahead and just up that f-stop just a little bit because it's out of focus. If you guys want to see what the focus is like, you can go on to the third render here, which is viewport shading. So that will show you in real time what everything's going to look like. So I think that's too blurred for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just amend that as that. So that's the tutorial for today. If you guys liked, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we're going to be doing some chains with lights on the end of them. So what I need you to do, go to your render tab and quickly switch out Eevee to cycles. We're going to go ahead and delete the default cube, and we'll add in a, let's go with torus. Let's go alpha rotate, and we'll go 90 degrees. And then we're just going to squish it in ever so slightly. So this is going to be one of our chain links. We're going to shade this smooth. We'll come over to the materials tab and click new. You want to go with a nice gold tone with this, and turn up your metallic and just turn down your roughness. We're going to go ahead and click on this material tab right here and just call it gold. We can amend this later if we need any more detail. And what we can do, let's go ahead and just press S to shrink this down. We're going to go Shift D to duplicate, and all you want to do is just bring this up to the point where they would naturally connect underneath, which is just about here. Now, because these are intersecting, we want to change this one to a 90-degree angle. So we're going to go ahead and press alpha rotate, and we'll click 90. So now this is the first link of our chain. We're going to go ahead and take this one and this one, holding down shift, and we're going to go Shift D. You can go ahead and put this on a side view if you want to, but we're going to go Shift D, and then we'll bring this up to the next part. So if we go to 1, which is a side view, we can see where we're going with this. Now what I would personally do is put this on toggle X-ray so you can see which parts are intersecting with other parts. Alternatively, you could add an additional link here if you wanted to, but if I take all of these and we just go Shift D, move this up and make sure that circle is just underneath the link right here. So we've got this nice little chain going on, and we'll just go ahead and do Shift D a good number of times. You can press S for scale to scale this down if you'd like, and just press G to bring it back down to the red line. So let's go Shift D again, go ahead and duplicate that. So now we've got this nice little chain going on. I'm going to go ahead and press G, bring this up ever so slightly, and all this should be gold the way that we've left it. Now the lighting, personally I don't quite like these lights. I usually make my own emissions and stuff like that. So I'm going to amend that later on, but first we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and add a, let's go with icosphere. Let's go with G. We can bring this up, and all you want to do is just place your icosphere just on the edge of the link right here. You can have this kind of clipping just slightly if you wanted to. We're going to go with material, new, switch out principal BSDF for glass BSDF, and turn down the roughness. So this is what we now have. And what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and add in a cylinder. So all you need to do is just press S to stretch this out. We're going to go right click shade smooth, and we're going to go ahead, S for scale, scale it down, G, bring this up, and you're going to go ahead and just place this on the inside of our icosphere as such. Just make sure that it's inside and it isn't coming up from the top, because once we've got this one, oops, yeah, okay, so once we've got this one, we're going to go to Materials tab, New, switch out your Principal BSDF to Emission. I'm going to go with a slight yellow for this, and we're going to go ahead and just increase that strength, just as such. So now this is a light source. So if I go ahead and get rid of the original light source in the scene, and just delete that, we're going to go ahead and add a plane. S for scale in the plane up. I'm going to go ahead and just find that material again. So this center part right here where we've got the emission. So we can turn the emission off, which means there's no light in the scene, and we can also brighten the emission up. So now we have this nice little light that's hung on a chain, and light that's coming down as is. So the light will take a little bit longer to come in. As you can see, there's all these dots around the outside. The computer's working out where the light's going to hit, so don't worry too much about that. What I am going to do though, I'm going to place a wall at the back, so let's go Shift D, and I'm going to go rotate this by 90, just as such. Press G to bring this back, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this chain multiple times. So when you've got the background right there, just click it off, and I'm just going to go Shift D, move this across, G, bring this up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and place a few of these in random positions. Let's go G there. I'm just going to move some of these to the other side, and then I'm going to move some of them forward and back. So you've got that nice little kind of chain look. Okay, so now I'm going to go with aligning the camera to view. If it'll let me. Align view, align camera to view. And then I'm going to press G, bring this back. And now we're going to go with a depth of field. So you can pick any of these really that you want to work with. Let's go. I'm just going to go ahead with G and just kind of pull this in just a little bit. Maybe we could go just there. That looks pretty peachy. So click your camera, go to data, And then we'll go depth of field and just use the eyedropper to select something, foreground, background, doesn't matter, and then just wind down the f-stop and it'll blur everything in the background and keep everything in the foreground in focus. So I don't know how well this will work. When it renders on my side it'll look great, but obviously at the minute there's a lot of noise going on because the computer's trying to figure things out and do the calculations. But yeah, that's the tutorial. What I'm going to do, actually, I like the lighting on this, but I don't like it that much. Let's go ahead and just add in a plane. Press S to scale it up just a little bit. I'm just going to press G to bring this across. S. Scale that across, just as such. G, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this ever so slightly and make this an emission. Primarily because I want to be able to highlight some of these chains, and I don't think the light's really doing that justice. So having that additional light in the background right there is just helping to pull out some of these details right here. So, yeah, you guys are probably going to see the render on the thumbnail. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we are doing neon signs, and I'm going to show you how to do text and different text styles as well. Let's go ahead and delete the default cube. Let me get my words out. So let's go to render, switch out Eevee to cycles, and I'm going to go ahead and add text in here. So just go to add at the top, and then we should find text. There we go. Okay, so we have the text right here. We're going to press 7 just so that we can go straight above so that we can see what's going on. What we're going to do, let's go to edit. And what we can do from here is we can go ahead and type in anything that we want, really. So, you know, there we go. I typed something in. So once we've got something like this, you can put anything that you'd like. We're going to go to the data at the side, which is the large green A. And we're going to click that, and we can go ahead with geometry. And what we're going to do here, because this is really flat, we're going to extrude this. So you want to go under geometry and then just go and extrude that right there. So we should have something like this in the end. So now we need a text type that's going to look pretty good with this. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the text types that I have because it pops out into another box and then it shows you all the text types that it does on Blender. For some reason, my recording software won't show that. Don't ask me why, but it doesn't. It just shows the actual recording of the Blender software. So, to get a different text type, and I implore, please, try different text types. We're going to go to fonts right here. Go to regular, and you want to click on the open font at the side, which is a picture of a folder. So now, I've got my open font on the screen right here, and you can see my mouse moving around, and I actually have hold of the box that I need to use to find the fonts. But unfortunately, you can't see it, which is just bizarre to me. So what I'm going to do is, you've got different ones on here once you access this. Just imagine that my box is there. What you want to find is something that is preferably joined up letters or joined up writing, and you want to find something that has very bold contrasts. So nothing like a paintbrush stroke or anything like that where there's holes in the middle of the actual letters themselves. You want something that's bold, something that's together. So a really good example of this is Blackadder ITC regular, which is this one. That's probably one of the best ones I would use for Halloween, but let's try a different one right here. So we have the Alex Brush regular. That's probably really good for any sort of neon lighting. I'm probably going to stick with that one, but we also have, let's see, I'm just going to go down the listings. Just see if I can pick some more out. You've got Creepy Girl Regular. Creepy Girl Regular is pretty good, but that's more for Halloween. And you also have Dancing Script Regular, which is this one. Which is kind of, it's a lot nicer, but I would say that because of these little loops that are coming through, it's not really material for background lighting due to the fact that it's crossing over itself and there's no light going over the top of the other bit. So let's go ahead and change this back to Alex Brush Regular, and we'll work with this one for today. We need to rotate this on a 90-degree angle, so let's go 90 right there. I'm just going to press G and bring this up, and then I'm going to add a plane in here. Let's go rotate by 90 again. Just bring that up again, so G to bring up. And I'm going to go ahead and just press S to scale. This will be the wall where we'll see the writing. So when we go to the render option, make sure your render engine is in cycles to begin with. And then we'll go ahead and just render this on the main screen. So you'll see that there's no light at the moment. So we need to make this an emission. So if we take this, we go to the materials tab, we can go new. You want to go for surface right here. Principled BSDF, click that. You should have a drop down menu that appears just like this. For some reason this drop down appears and the other one doesn't. I don't know why. But let's click on to emission. Switch out that Principled BSDF to emission. And now we have this glowing text, and we can go ahead and we can change the colour on this and the textures. So maybe I could have something like this, kind of like a nice cherry red. So we have that in the background. To lower the emission, we're just going to go with strength, and this will lower the emission. And if we go upwards, we can see that the emission is a lot bigger. Now, the more that you add to the strength of the emission, the more this will turn more of a paler shade to what you have, and then you'll have the lighting at the background. I kind of like how that's done, but at the same time, I would kind of want that texture that I originally chose to be on the text. So, yeah, that's a nice little way that you can do neon. Let me just turn this down just a little bit. What I would do, purposely for this, is let's go back onto regular render for a moment, because usually what happens is when you've got something like this where it's an emission, you generally have glass behind it, or you have some sort of border. Now if it's stuck on a wall, you generally have a black border just at the back to kind of pull out some of those tones a little bit. But if it's glass, I guess, like you hang it in the front of a shop or something like that, it would be glass at the back. So yeah, let's go add. Let's go with cube. I'm going to go G, bring this up, and then I'm just going to go ahead, scale it down. G, bring it back, and then S to scale going across. And then just place it on the background just here. Maybe we can scale this down just a little bit. Let's press G. G to go across, and then S just to scale. Alright, so once we've got something like this, we can now see this looks a lot more pronounced compared to the background. We could change the tone on this actually. Let's go to materials and go with black. So if we just go black, you see how that pulls the writing out a little bit more. It's got more contrast. So if I take this one and this one, just to show you as an example, when my computer catches up. Hold on. So take this one and this one. Shift D. Right, I'm going to go ahead and minus the material off this, so it's going to be white. And then we've got a black background right here. So if I just get these into focus right there. Can you see how the top one's a lot more contrasted? You can actually see it better than the bottom one. So this is generally why when you see it in pubs, restaurants, bars and all that kind of stuff, it's a darker background in the back than, say, a lighter one. And also you've got windows as well. Windows, if you've got neon in windows, it's glass at the back so that you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, so that's the tutorial. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye. Okay, welcome guys to Blender. So today I wanted to do some lighting with you. So we're going to do tube lighting on a corridor. So what you need to do is go to your render tab. Let's change out from Eevee to cycles. And let's go to the default cube here. We'll use this for this example. Let's go and scale this up and then scale this across. So we've got this nice little kind of corridor going on. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop inside right here. So when we go onto the render, you can see that this is completely dark. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and add the camera to this scene. So let's go view and we'll align view camera to view. So we can see what's going on with this. I'm just going to press G and come back. Just to about there. So we've got our nice little corridor set up coming through on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and split the atom. So we have this right here, and then we can kind of look at things from the outside. So essentially what we're going to be doing, let's go ahead and add a cylinder. Let's press G, bring this up. Right click shade smooth. We're going to go rotate by 90. Scale this out. And then essentially you're going to scale this down as well. So that we've got this nice little tube. Now, obviously within this example, I'm not going to be doing the fittings on the side. I'm just going to be showing you how the light is going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and line them up with the corridor so that I know that I've got the right size. Sometimes it's a little bit deceiving. Let's go on to that setting right there. Okay, so I'm going to do these in little rows. So you can kind of get the idea of where I'm trying to go here. So, imagine that this is your tube lighting that you have. Obviously, you'd have two little fittings on the side here. You'd have some wires and stuff like that. I mean, you could go ahead and put the fittings on there if you wanted to. So, to do the fittings, you're just going to go basically really easy. Let's go Shift D. So, you got that secondary object. So you want to go ahead and just squish it in. Just like this. And then scale outwards. And this is just like a basic fitting that you can just put on, especially just for this example. So let's go G, place one here. I'm going to go to the materials tab, let's go new. And we'll go with black. And then the tube lighting itself will go new. And we'll go principal BSDF and we'll go to emission. And we can pull this emission out just slightly. And then we can go ahead and Shift D. Get the setting to the opposite side. So we now have this little emission in the middle right here, and we have these black sides. So this is going to be our entire lights that we're going to have on the inside of the tube right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this onto render right here, and you can see that we can't see anything because obviously there's nothing happening. And if I press G and just move this to the side right here, we're moving the lights on the inside of the tube just as such. So once we've got this on the inside of the tube, we can just see that little overhang right there. If I can move this back a little bit, you can see that we now have some lights that's coming through. So this is really kind of good if you want to do some sci-fi scenes, stuff like that. Maybe have some flickering lights and stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and place it right there. And then I'm going to go on side view with X-ray so you guys can see where I'm placing the lights. So we can go Shift D and we can move this across the corridor right here. So now when we render this, if I just zoom in just ever so slightly, when my computer plays ball, you can see now that we've got two lights just coming down this corridor. So if we take this off again, we can go ahead and just select these two lights and then deselect the corridor. Shift D. You could go ahead and place these in between if you wanted to, and then we could go ahead and place these just at the side, and then maybe another set just in the middle as such. So when we've got the lighting from here, you can see all these lights coming down right here. Our lighting is going to look something like this. Now, obviously it's very fuzzy at the moment, it's very Minecraft, but as soon as this starts to render a little bit more, we should see some more detail. There we go. So this is a great way of doing lighting. You can also it didn't like that. I think this is about to crash, but yeah, you can change the color of this lighting. You can also deepen it a little bit if you wanted to. I'm not going to risk deepening it at the moment because I think the computer's had enough of my antics. But yeah, this is a great kind of lighting situation if you've got small corridors and stuff like that. I'm going to see whether I can just turn this off and then change the colour and then see what we can get out of this. Let's go with regular render just for a moment. I just don't want to change the colour just in case it crashes, so I'm going to lose all the work on this. So yeah, you can see that we can change this to red now. We get all this pixelization going on, and then it just settles. So yeah, I mean, like, you could do anything with this really. You could have a light flickering at the side, you could do anything. So yeah, I'm going to end this tutorial there. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.